The following is a production of Florida State University's Office of University Communications. Coming up on FSU Headlines, Florida State University salutes citizen soldiers as student veterans raise awareness through film. Art Nouveau on full display. An FSU alumnus shares a special collection on campus. And it's showtime. A record-breaking performance earns one Seminole his spot among the greats. Stay tuned for these stories and much, much more. FSU Headlines starts now. Hello and welcome to another edition of FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnittker.
And I'm Nora Bertollet. Each year, Florida State plays host to the Student Veterans Film Festival.
It's a unique student-led event to raise awareness of veterans issues, and it's been a huge success since it launched in 2011.
This year was certainly no exception. FSU Headlines reporter Cara Irby joins us now to tell us all about this year's special screening of the film, Citizen Soldier, and the co-directors who made a return trip to campus, or home as they like to call it. Cara?
That's right, Nora. This is the second film that co-directors David Salzberg and Christian Theroux have brought to the film festival and to an engaged audience at Florida State University. The signature fall semester event was well attended by not only event sponsors, but military veterans, active duty personnel, and their families.
On behalf of the Florida State student body, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 6th Annual Student Veteran Film Festival. I currently serve as the director of the Veterans Student Union and am proud to say that FSU was the first university to establish a Veterans Student Union, or VSU, as an agency of student government. This stands as one of the many testaments here at Florida State that exemplifies the veteran-friendly campus that we have established here with our administrators, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and supporters.
Every year at the festival, filmmakers are honored with the FSU Student Veteran Torchlight Award. The goal is to award films that shine a spotlight on issues affecting veterans and help others understand the humanity of men and women that have served the country.
And what this film does, in my opinion, is it illuminates cinema in its very best way, not only as entertainment, but as educational and as a storytelling visual voice that can very positively change our world.
Theroux and Salzberg took home the award in 2015 for their film, The Hornet's Nest. Their award-winning film this year, Citizen Soldier, zeroes in on soldiers in the Oklahoma Army National Guard. The co-directors say they don't actively seek out awards, but are humbled by the recognition and consider the exposure a privilege.
I feel very awkward getting up at entering all these film festivals and getting up in front of the soldiers I know or the family members that have lost a loved one and getting all excited and happy about a trophy when their experience wasn't all happy and excited. You know, they let us in the worst day of their lives and let us show it to help others.
While this is a special showcase of award-winning films, it's also an important showcase of all the ways Florida State supports its student veterans and helps them transition from service to the classroom. The marquee event has become a staple of Veterans Week since 2011. For FSU Headlines, I'm Cara Irby.
Leading up to the Student Veteran Film Festival, Florida State University hosted numerous events as part of the FSU Veterans Week, including the introduction of a new addition to FSU's Heritage Museum. Many know of the Heritage Museum and FSU's Dodd Hall for its beautiful stained glass windows. A new veteran stained glass window was added during a special ceremony during Veterans Week to commemorate Florida State's commitment to its student veterans and veterans issues.
So we thought, let's do this on Thursday night, November 10th, 2016, as the 5-year celebration of Florida State's initiative to become the most veteran-friendly and empowering university in the nation.
You can learn more about all the student veterans initiatives at Florida State by visiting veterans.fsu.edu.
Florida State University's annual 3-Minute Thesis Competition showcases FSU's best and brightest in 3 minutes or less. 10 Florida State University doctoral students did their best to condense their years of hard work into a 3-minute presentation as part of the annual 3-Minute Thesis Competition. With the clock ticking and the pressure on, the goal is to make their research plain and get the audience to understand it within the allotted time. The person that can do that, well, that's your winner of this competition. More importantly, it's a skill these doctoral candidates will need when pitching their work to future investors or even to the general public. This year's winner is Industrial and Manufacturing Engineering doctoral student Madrapana Roy, whose research hopes to make planes safer in stormy weather.
I feel wonderful. It's great. I mean, I didn't expect to win. A lot of my friends showed up today. I thought that was a really good thing that they came to support me, but they said that I did really well, so it feels great.
The 3 Minute Thesis Competition is a competition for doctoral students to describe their research and creative endeavors for a bright but non-specialist audience. So it's not dumbing down the information. It's explaining it in such a way that you or I can understand what they're doing.
The first place winner receives $500 and advances to the regional competition.
Still to come on FSU Headlines, Art Nouveau takes over the Museum of Fine Arts.
Mucha is kind of a mainline Art Nouveau artist. He is working in the world of graphic design.
We'll see how an FSU alumnus helped transform the FSU Museum with the works of a talented early 20th century artist when FSU Headlines continues in a moment.
Florida State gives you the opportunity to do anything you want to do.
I am so grateful to be able to work with some of the best professors in the world.
I will always be a Seminole. This is home.
Florida State made me feel special, and that's the most I could have asked for from a university. Honestly, I wouldn't be the person I am today, and I wouldn't be the student I am today without Florida State.
When you buy a Florida State University license plate,
you're not just showing your school spirit.
You're supporting students like us.
In the lab,
in the classroom,
and in the library.
Putting this tag on your vehicle helps Florida State students achieve their dreams. So show your pride. Purchase an FSU license plate today.
Welcome back to FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker.
And I'm Nora Bertollet.
Nora, it's not every day you get a chance to see a great collection of art from an era long ago.
That's true, Dennis. But fortunately for those of us here in Tallahassee, Florida State University's Museum of Fine Arts regularly brings exhibitions from all over the world right here to campus.
And recently, with the help of an FSU alumnus, the museum brought another exhibit to town for an extended stay. It showcases the work of Alphonse Mucha and Art Nouveau.
And don't worry, if you missed it, we spoke with the curator and even took a tour of the exhibit. Take a look.
The name of the exhibition is simply Mucha. Now for publications, we're using the title also Mucha and Art Nouveau because that's the big movement he was associated with. When I design a show, I arrange things as if I'm teaching a class where I'm telling a story. In this exhibition, there is, first of all, an introduction. So a lot of the ideas that these European artists are using, in fact, in origin, come from Japanese prints. Mucha is kind of a mainline Art Nouveau artist. He is working in the world of graphic design. He was a commercial artist. He created posters. He also designed menus for upscale restaurants in Paris. So he's really versatile. And when designing this show, what I tried to do was include things that showed his range. So you can walk through the show and see how he's evolving, how he's changing his mind about things over time. So there's kind of a general Mucha show that's experienced when you go through the museum. Within that general story, there are a lot of small stories that record certain events that happened during his life. For example, around Christmas, 1894, there is this famous actress in Paris by the name of Sarah Bernhardt, who's going to put on a play. The theater wants a nice poster made. Fortunately, Alphonse Mucha, who at the time is an unknown artist, is available. Most of the artists were out of town or it's Christmas, they don't want to do work. So he produces this poster called Gizmonda, which is the name of the play. And Sarah Bernhardt sees the poster, loves the poster, just loves this poster. Here she's depicted in an idealized way. But being an actress, this is the way she wanted to be viewed by the public. So she loved it. She loved this poster. And this is the event that makes Alphonse Mucha an internationally famous artist, because Sarah Bernhardt now is behind him and commissioned him to do more work. He becomes more and more famous and just has all the commissions he could ever want then. So that story is part of the grand story that is told with this exhibition.
And you can see a full schedule of the Museum of Fine Arts by visiting its website to find out when the next great exhibit will make its way to Florida State. That website is mofa.fsu.edu.
FSU recently shed some light on the growing field of digital humanities, bringing in speakers, faculty, and students from across the United States. Digital humanities expands over a variety of disciplines, from archives to computing. FSU is leading the charge to inform more people about the interdisciplinary field by collaborating with key people in the research sphere from Stanford to West Virginia University. Further discussions were facilitated by smaller groups with the outcome of notes and an upcoming special issue of Invisible Work in the Digital Humanities Quarterly.
Invisible work, or the labor of digital humanities, is a topic that people are talking about in digital humanities broadly beyond FSU, so we thought it was important to have a time and a space where we could pull people together to have that conversation.
It's been really pretty gratifying here to hear how many people are interested in getting this issue to the forefront of digital humanities discussions. I think a lot of times we spend time focusing on the actual digital project or product, like what the end result is. And a lot of the discussions here today have been about the process of that, how the work is being done and who's doing it. And it seems like that's really coming to the forefront.
The two-day conference was co-hosted by University Libraries, FSU School of Information, the Office of Research, and more. You can follow the conversation at Twitter at IWDHFSU. Symposiums are plentiful here at Florida State, but two colleges at the university partnered for a unique conference on coercion and helping professions. This conference is not trying to take political positions, but to open up the conversation of how we apply coercion. Social work associate professor Tomi Gamori was the mastermind behind the Coercion Conference. The concept of coercion is one not typically discussed, but was met with eager interest among the 270 participants throughout the day. Coercion is a term relating to social control. It can be a formal or informal, physical or psychological practice used in order to move people to do what you want or to behave how you want them to behave. International top scholars in the fields of mental health, addiction, and healthcare presented at the conference, hailing from countries like Canada and Ireland. FSU's highly regarded College of Social Work and College of Criminology and Criminal Justice partnered to put on the event.
What this conference tried to do was to drill down in different sectors, criminal justice and behavioral health and social services, to look at different justifications for coercion, both on the philosophical side and then on the empirical outcome side.
We live in a time where we as citizens need to be more aware of what's going on around us, more informed, and not simply assume that we can assume that government can take care of all the problems, because government is controlled by us and we have to be educated, and that's what the conference was all about, is educating the public about really the promise as well as the pitfalls of coercion.
A serendipitous phone call to an FSU professor sparked the beginning of an uncommon partnership. When Judy Bowers was first asked if Florida State University's choral education program would work with the choir at the Gadsden Correctional Facility, the longtime professor hesitated. Now, after 3 years, thanks to her initially investigating the idea and meeting with the warden of the facility, a group of about 20 FSU students and faculty participate in the weekly rehearsals for the choral group at the Gadsden Correctional Facility, known as FSU MTC Glee Club. The partnership has garnered attention from the community, receiving donations and even invitations. The Tallahassee Community Chorus invited the FSU MTC Glee Club to participate in its annual Unity concert in January, but since they can't physically attend, a video of their performance will be played at the concert.
This is a beyond the program day activity, and I will tell you, the women cannot wait to see Dr. Bowers, the other faculty members, and the students. They literally are uplifted when they see Dr. Bowers and the crew, and vice versa. Dr. Bowers and the students are uplifted, and the sheer energy in the room as they practice and prepare is truly unbelievable.
Thanks to the donations received by the program, new musical equipment and instruments are now on loan to the FSU MTC Glee Club.
That's a great story. Still to come on FSU Headlines, records are made to be broken.
Cook to the 45 to the 40. Cook's got the record. He's to the 30, 25 to the 20. He's knocked out of bounds inside the 20-yard line.
We'll show you how FSU's Dalvin Cook took his place among the Seminole football greats when FSU Headlines continues in a moment. Welcome back to FSU Headlines. I'm Nora Bertolet.
And I'm Dennis Schnitker.
Dennis, the Florida State football team won another state championship after beating rivals Miami and Florida for the 4th consecutive season. And along the way, one Seminole rewrote the history book.
That's right, Nora. Junior running back Dalvin Cook became the all-time leading rusher in school history. But he's not the only Seminole leading the team with some big-time accolades this year. FSU Headlines reporter Mark Vaughn joins us now to talk about how the Noles finished the regular season on a high note with some big recognitions. Mark?
That's right, Dennis. Dalvin Cook did have a record-breaking year on the field, and he took his place among the Seminole greats. But he wasn't the only FSU player that had an outstanding season this year.
Here's the snap. Cook takes the carry, comes to the, he's got daylight to the 50. Cook to the 45 to the 40. Cook's got the record. He's to the 30, 25 to the 20. He's knocked out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. That's a statement by Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook reached the career milestone in just his 3rd season as a Seminole, passing the 20-year mark held by FSU great Warrick Dunn. He did it in the Noles' 11th game of the season against Syracuse after running for 225 yards during that game, putting him over 4,000 for his career, the only Seminole to ever do that. In his last regular season game of the year, number 4 went off again on the rival Gators for another 153 yards on the ground to bring his career total to a school record 4,319 yards, his 1,620 this season alone, earning him all ACC first-team honors yet again. And speaking of honors, his backfield mate and first-year starter at QB, DeAndre Francois, had a breakout season, passing for more than 3,000 yards himself while winning the ACC Offensive and Overall Rookie of the Year award. Francois led Florida State to a 9-3 record this season, completing 226 of his 373 passes with 18 touchdowns and just 6 interceptions. He's the only freshman in the country with 3,000 passing yards, finishing the regular season with 3,128 yards. The mobile quarterback from Orlando showed flashes on the ground as well, finishing with 4 rushing TDs. And on the defensive side of the ball, senior defensive end DeMarcus Walker was named the 2016 ACC Defensive Player of the Year. The Jacksonville native returned for his senior season and reached 15 sacks in the regular season finale, with 2 against Florida. His 15 sacks are tied for the national lead and are 3rd most in a season in FSU history, and the 27 in his career are also 3rd in school history. Well, they weren't the only Noles to take home some top honors, as offensive tackle Roderick Johnson and cornerback Tavares McFadden each joined DeMarcus Walker and Dalvin Cook on the first-team All-ACC list this year. The Noles will be taking their talents back to the Orange Bowl for the 10th time and their 5th straight appearance in a New Year's Six Bowl coming up this month. And they'll be taking on Michigan on December 30th in the Orange Bowl. You can find out all the info on Seminoles.com. That's going to do it for us here. Let's send things back to you.
Thanks for that report, Mark. Now to a tribute for a beloved Florida State alumnus who recently lost his battle with a brain tumor. Monk Bonasort was a legend among the FSU faithful for his Hall of Fame play on the field, and maybe even more for his tireless efforts to help student athletes after his playing days were over as a senior associate athletics director. Florida State recently held a special memorial service at Doak Campbell Stadium to remember the Hall of Famer.
I'm overwhelmed by the love, the compassion. It's unbelievable. It's sort of one kind. This is a family here, the athletes. And I can't thank everyone, but I just want to say thank you, 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 thank you for the atmosphere, the love.
We moved him to safety. He wasn't big enough to be a dadgum tight end like we had him. And so we moved him to safety. And through hard work, he made All-American. I think he had an interception record here for years, you know. And I've used him many times through the years as an example of what a young man can do if he's willing to pay the price. But what a great example he was.
We just all would be lucky enough that the dash in our life meant as much as the dash in his life. He's a very special person, and we're all blessed to have him. And Florida State and his family lost a heck of a guy. Our players and student athletes lost a heck of a person. I lost a heck of a friend. I really did. And I'm gonna miss you greatly. I love you, Bo. God bless you.
We've never lost to Florida. That was important to Monk. As a player, he never lost to Florida, and he knew we were going to be playing Florida in a week or so. He asked that we get some analgesic balm. Now, you know what that stuff is. It smells pretty good if you've played. And he wanted some of his ashes mixed with that analgesic balm and put on the tip of the spear. So when Osceola threw that spear, Monk was going to win one more against Florida.
I know that when I talk to Bev and I talk to Rocky and TJ and I talk to Chaz, I know that I'm going to continue to have Monk in my life, and he's going to be there, that shining example of that individual that always gave his all.
He's a great man, and each of you should be very proud of him. I'm very proud to say that I got to work with him. As I said, in my Warrior days, you look for a man that you know would be there with you in the trenches, and he was there every step of the way. Thanks, Monk, and best to the family.
This stadium is legendary. Coaches that have been here is legendary. Players are legendary. But you create a legendary person by the things you do and the actions. And to step back and look at that and see people huddled around, and him and Beverly and the boys, TJ and Rocky, to be able to go out there and celebrate that moment and the buzz, it was just so surreal. And I truly felt what legendary is.
What I can tell you is that the time that I was able to share with Monk will be cherished, that he's an inspiration to me and will continue to be, and help to guide me to be the best man, the best husband, the best father I can be.
There's a lot to share about Monk, and you heard a lot of it. But I think the one universal truth, the one universal thing that you take from everything that everybody said, and of all the people who are here who loved Monk, that he was loved and respected.
FSU students, faculty, and staff from across campus gather to share a meal and connect in order to help create a better community.
The Longest Table is an event organized by the Power We campaign, which is the first student-curated university-wide campaign at FSU, operated under the auspices of the president, and also in partnership with the Student Diversity and Inclusion Council. The Longest Table to us is an opportunity to give the university campus a platform to engage across our differences, to convene together people from different backgrounds, different life experiences, different community circles, and engage in a conversation where we recognize what we share and how we can move our community forward together.
To
us, the Longest Table is an opportunity to explore a simple
Some of the hardest things to do is to sit down with people who think differently and maybe are from a different place than you are. But though it's hard, doesn't mean that you get an excuse away from doing it. That what today shows, this effort more broadly shows, is that you've got people here on this campus who are prepared to lean into that conversation, lean into those talks, that discussion. And I think the university environment, the culture here, is going to be enriched by creating this kind of an environment for folks to get to know their friends and neighbors.
Learn more about the student-run initiative at powerofwe.fsu.edu. Florida State University's museum-style exhibit to educate the campus community about domestic and social justice issues is now mobile. With Words is an exhibit each spring through the Center for Leadership and Social Change. This fall, they took their exhibit on the road, hosting mobile pop-ups in different locations across campus in order to create healthy dialogue.
We wanted to make it more accessible for students, and so here on the Union Green it's a lot more, it's easier for students to be able to walk through, especially during Market Wednesday when there's a lot of foot traffic. In the Globe, most people don't know about it, and it stays in like that secluded area within like the Globe and the Center for Leadership and Social Change. So this offers more of an outlet for other students to experience with Words.
With Words is about spreading awareness about social justice issues in ways that are surprising and innovative. I think that there's always ways to show statistics and information on paper and written, but there is something to be said about a picture, being able to see something visually that really catches your attention and really informs you about like what's going on in the world. And so oftentimes it's hard to really relate to statistics, and this really puts the viewer within this issue.
The pop-up version hopes to return for the spring with a new cause, and the traditional With Words museum-style exhibit will discuss topics including social media, gentrification, and criminal justice.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of FSU Headlines, but you can see more news from Florida State University anytime at news.fsu.edu.
It's the official news website of Florida State University.
For Nora and for everyone here at Florida State University, I'm Dennis Schnitker. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.